Emma had always believed that love was meant to hurt. It wasn't a belief she carried lightly, it was carved into her heart like scars that refused to fade. Years of failed relationships had taught her to expect disappointment. Promises had been broken like fragile glass, and trust had been shattered so many times she no longer recognized its shape. She had once stood in the rain, waiting for someone who never came, feeling the cold seep into her bones as she realized she was utterly alone. That night, she told herself she would never again give her heart away so recklessly. Since then, Emma had built a world where nothing unpredictable could hurt her. She lived above her favorite cafe in a modest little apartment with creaky floors and soft golden curtains that caught the sunlight in the mornings. Her days were spent working as a barista, her hands busy with grinding beans, steaming milk, and wiping counters. Her nights were quiet, filled with books stacked around her bed and the comforting hum of the city below. She told herself this was enough, calm, simple, free of chaos. And then Daniel walked in. It was a Thursday evening, and rain hammered the streets outside in silver sheets. The cafe was warm, crowded with damp coats and dripping umbrellas, the smell of roasted coffee beans filling the air. Emma stood behind the counter, her hair tied back in a messy bun, a streak of cinnamon on her cheek from the rush. The bell above the door jingled, and she glanced up. He walked in slowly, as though the storm belonged to someone else. Tall, broad-shouldered, his dark hair plastered to his forehead, a jaw shadowed with stubble. His presence seemed to ripple through the cafe. But it was his eyes that caught her breath, deep, steady, and so intense it felt like he saw everything in her at once. "Black coffee," he said simply, his voice low and rough, carrying a quiet weight that made her pulse quicken. When she handed him the cup, their fingers brushed, just a fleeting touch, but enough to spark something sharp and undeniable. He gave a faint smile, as though apologizing for the jolt between them, and carried his drink to the far corner table by the window. He sat there, watching the rain, unmoving even as the cafe buzzed with chatter around him. Emma tried to focus on her work, but her eyes kept drifting back. There was something about the way he sat, like a man waiting for something the world could no longer give him. The next day, he came back. And the day after. Always at the same time. Always at the same table. At first, their words were brief. Polite exchanges,